Hi guys, my name's Andy Crowley and in this video I'm going to be talking you guys through my recommended albums and music that you guys should be listening to as learner guitarists, as beginning guitarists, to widen your music knowledge, give you plenty of songs to play and to develop you as an overall musician, kind of move yourself forward so you can create your own path. So I'm going to give you my top 5 albums for you guys to listen to. I want to preface this with the fact that you're guaranteed not to like every person on this list, and you will have your own favourites. And I want you to work with that, because if you like an artist or you like a particular song, it will mean more to you, and therefore you will practice it more and learn it better. Everyone learns songs better that they already know. What can too easily happen is, for example, if you like an artist who's popular at any one time, or you like an artist from your youth. So for example, Ed Sheeran is really popular at the moment. The danger is you just listen to more popular artists who kind of come up in the recommendations that you would find. So if you like Ed Sheeran, recommendations come up, you should like Taylor Swift and Sam Smith. But those artists did not influence Ed Sheeran in his guitar style of playing, and also in his songwriting and his singing and performances. So what you need to do, if you like a particular artist and you want to learn to play like them, not just learn their songs, you want to play like them. For example, Eddie Van Halen did not learn to play like Eddie Van Halen by getting an Eddie Van Halen chord book or looking up Eddie Van Halen video lessons online, okay? What you need to do is simply look at interviews by that artist where he talks about his influences, basically the people that he stole ideas or techniques from, and they're the people that you need to listen to a lot and learn songs from to really gain all the musical vocabulary that that person gained from that style of music. So if we take Ed Sheeran, for example, in his interviews he really states that he probably would not be a musician to this day if it was not for him going to a gig by Damien Rice and him being massively bowled over at the gig and meeting him afterwards, and Damien Rice being really nice to him. He really cites that as really important. Ed Sheeran also states Van Morrison as a massive influence on his songwriting and his acoustic guitar playing. And listen to a couple of songs by Van Morrison. I'll leave a couple of links up here for you to listen to. You can hear that influence it's had on Ed Sheeran. He's copied the style of the strumming and song structure and melody, many things. And finally, of course, Ed Sheeran is influenced by R&B and rap music, and he cites Marshall Mathers' EP by Eminem as a massive influence on him. That was one of the first albums that his dad bought him, I believe, and his dad said to him, "This guy's the Bob Dylan of the modern day, of our time, really." Whether you agree with that or not, it had a massive impact on him, and if you want to play like him and write songs like him, you need to listen to those influences and go back to the primary sources, those earlier sources. Okay, so my top 5 albums for new guitarists to get a handle on what the guitar music world is kind of like, and a bit of a shorthand music history. We've got to start off with number 1, Fleetwood Mac and Rumours. This is one of the biggest selling and best albums of all time, hands down. Not even in just guitar music world, just hands down. It is one of the best albums of all time. If you've never heard it, you should definitely own this album, because you will listen to it again and again. It should appeal to most people, and the guitar playing by Lindsey Buckingham and the vocals by everyone in the band is just magnificent. This is an album that would get 10 out of 10 from me in an album review. My second choice of my top 5 albums for you guys to listen to comes from the point of view of an album that will give you the most amount of songs to learn from it, the most amount of songs that you would want to be able to play. And for this, we've got to turn to the Beatles. Every Beatles album is definitely worth owning, but if you're not familiar with them at all, and you've never really, you know of the band, you know the people, but you've never really listened to the music, get the One album. The One album has all their number 1 singles on it, and if you listen to that album in order, it's quite overwhelming the amount of music you will know subconsciously from this, and it will massively impact how you listen to sort of music from now on forward if you're not familiar with what's with their material. If you want to delve a little deeper into the Beatles' back catalogue, I definitely recommend their latter day stuff, everything from Rubber Soul, Revolver, Sgt. Pepper's, The White Album and Abbey Road. Any one of those albums could be in anyone's top 10 and could pretty much make up the top 5 albums of all time in many lists that you will come across. So well worth investing and listening to those. My third album choice is the best live album, in my opinion, of a live band playing rock music, and I'm also going to give you an acoustic option as well. So the best live album ever recorded, in my opinion, for rock music is The Who's Live at Leeds. Slightly biased that I live in Leeds in the UK as well, and I've been to that venue many times. I used to work at that live music venue, in fact. That album is the best example of many blues and rock influences that are fairly straightforward to play, played by an amazing live band at the absolute peak of their game. That is the epitome of a live rock band performance in many ways, and the epitome of great rock guitar. The best acoustic live album, in my opinion, is Nirvana's Unplugged album. The simple songwriting and beautiful melodies really shine through here, as well as a quite moving performance of many songs and covers because of the poignancy that it was one of their last live recordings, really. For acoustic live albums, Eric Clapton's MTV Unplugged performance is really worth checking out if you like that sort of thing. My fourth choice is the best rock album of all time, straight out rock music, and for that I have to pick AC/DC's Back in Black. This album was recorded and released just after the lead singer Bon Scott's tragic death, and they replaced Bon Scott with Brian Johnson, who one of the first songs they wrote and recorded together was You Shook Me All Night Long, which is simply one of the best rock songs ever written, in my opinion. I'll be teaching that lesson very shortly on my channel, and it goes on to be one of the biggest selling albums of all time, regardless of genre, and still stands the test of time today. If you want to get a greatest hits by AC/DC, do so, but that album, one song after the other, considering the circumstances that it was written and recorded in, is just a real achievement, and I feel that will never be surpassed in terms of what they had to overcome and sort of get through to record such an amazing sonic work. And finally, my fifth choice is the best acoustic album of all time. I'm picking an album that has just influenced me as a player and singer so much. This is quite a personal choice, and I also know it's influenced so many other players of a similar age to me and a little bit younger and a little bit older, and the whole resurgence of the singer-songwriter in the noughties and continuing to this day with the likes of Ed Sheeran. This is Damien Rice and Oh. This album came out in 2002. Before this time, guitar music in general had kind of gone away for around about 5 years. It wasn't played in the mainstream, and The Strokes' Is This It and Damien Rice's Oh really made big strides to bring this music back, and it was a big influence on me to make me pick up the guitar and play with friends and have that massive influence of suddenly a lot of acoustic singer-songwriters and bands suddenly being on the telly, in the mainstream and on the radio. That really kept that influence going for me. So they're my top 5 albums for you guys to listen to as new guitarists wanting to learn about the bit of the history of music so that you can make your own musical stylistic choices moving forward. I've been quite generic in my choices. I've picked a lot of the biggest selling albums of all time because frankly, until quite late in my music development, I hadn't heard a few of these albums and I had to go back and listen to them because we get influenced so easily by what we've already heard, or by what our family listens to, or just what happens to be on the radio, or our favourite TV series. Listen to the big guns, go back in time as well as just listening to what current music is out, and you're going back to the source material, and find interviews of your favourite guitarists and singer-songwriters and bands. They will tell you their influences, and then you can go back and listen to their influences and start to play like them, pick up their musical vocabulary. If you disagree with my choices, that's totally cool. Please let me know which albums you would put in there, which artists have influenced you the most. leave it in the comments, get in touch via Facebook and Twitter. I may even make another revised video of these in the future when I take on board other people's comments. This is just to get you started. Remember, we've got tons of free online guitar lessons, mainly aimed at absolute beginners at andyguitar.co.uk. So hopefully I'll see you again in another lesson. Please subscribe if you like what I do, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.